So now that we have our Tether contract set up, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and write our reward token contract as well. Because remember, with our application, what we want to do is yield farming. So you can come onto the application and you can take some Tether and you can deposit it into our bank, and then you get rewarded with our reward token in exchange. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, we need to have a reward token, right? We've got the Tether token, and so we need to have the reward token, and then we also need to have the digital bank contract. These all require their own smart contracts. So we've got our migrations contract in Tether, but we don't have our bank contract, and we don't have our reward token contracts. So let's go back to our contracts folder here and make a new folder, and let's call it rwd.sol. So rewards.sol. Okay. Oh, sorry, not a folder. It's got to be a file. My bad. I don't know what a Solidity folder would do. Not very much. So rwd.sol here. Okay. Now, now our reward token is going to be very, very similar to our Tether token contract. All right. We're not going to do any crazy other tokenomics. In fact, the functionality is going to be exactly the same. So instead of sitting and retyping everything and going through it again, because you could always just go back to the last video to do that, let's just go ahead and copy this, paste it in here. So I'm copying our Tether contract into our WD, and we're just going to change the name. Gotta love copy paste. So the contract's going to be called RWD, and string public name here, we're going to change this to reward token. And we'll just change the symbol to RWD. And we'll leave the same supply and decimals, and we'll leave everything else pretty much exactly the same. Save that, and there you go. And that's it. So now we actually have our second contract done a lot faster than the first one around. And that is the beauty of templates. Okay, so we've got our reward contract set up. We've got our Tether contract set up. Let's write the basic setup for our digital bank and then deploy all this together to see that everything migrates to the database, to the blockchain database correctly, and we're good to go. So we're going to make another file in our contracts, and this time we're going to call it decentral bank. All right, .sol. This is going to be our digital bank. So decentral bank. All right, and we're going to do the same thing. So I'm just going to go back to Tether, or maybe we'll go into migrations. We'll just copy the code from migrations, paste it into decentral bank. And we're going to call this contract decentral bank. All right. Address public owner is cool. We'll keep that. And we'll get rid of all this for now. We don't need any of that. And what we can do for now is we could add a name. So we're just going to do string public, and it's going to be, and how do we make a name? Well, we just create the variable as a string called name, and then we set it to the name we want, which is going to be decentral bank. Okay. And that's it. Okay, we created another contract. Look at us. We're contract ninjas, left, right, and center. All right. Maybe we're getting too excited here, but really this is great. But really we are making progress. So we have our Tether contract, RWD, and our decentral bank, which is going to be taking both our reward tokens and our Tether tokens and interacting, depositing, withdrawing, staking, all that good stuff. So let's go ahead now. So let's go ahead and deploy this. So I'm going to go back into our migrations to our deploy contracts. And what we're going to do first is and what we need to do first is, what do you think? Well, we need to bring in the contracts, right? So just how we do it up here. I don't know why that's on line 2. Oops. We're going to create more variables. We're going to do a variable for RWD. And we're going to create a variable for decentral bank. And we're just going to set these to require our smart contract information. And here, let's actually add some comments. So right now, we are exporting and deploying the tether contract. So deploy mock tether contract. So I'm adding some comments here, right? And we can do the same thing for our other contracts. So let's do that. So let's deploy mock tether. So let's deploy the, and here we can just rename it to RWD. And then we want this one as well, the central bank. And yeah, I know it's not, they're not interacting yet, but this is just so that we can get a start on this and set it up and on this. And also I want to make sure that, you know, we updated our tether contract. So I wanted to see that everything uploads correctly and that it's all up on the blockchain and our functionality is all right. So we're going to do a deeper dive into the functionality after once we just implement a few more a few more key features for the decentral bank contract, but just to see that it works and it's uploading. Okay, and so this one will be decentral bank. Hit save. All right, so let's go to our console and make sure we're in the Truffle development. I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to run a Truffle migrate -- reset. And we use the flag -- reset because we are updating effectively. So we're resetting the addresses to new addresses. We're not actually updating what's going on within the contracts that are already up. We're providing new addresses and putting those up onto the blockchain. And oh no, it looks like we've made a mistake. And let's see what the mistake is. It's okay to make mistakes. In fact, it's important for me to leave these mistakes on to show you that this is part of the process. This happens all the time. Did you intend to add public? We see that in our reward solidity contract, we did not add public. In our constructor, as well as in our tether contract. So let's take a look. And yeah, this should be public. As we can see here in my tether.solidity in the tether contract, I did not make this public, so we would not have access to it. So we want to make this public. So that's a mistake. And did I do that here as well? Yes, because I copy pasted. That's the folly of copy paste right there, right there. And here we don't actually have a constructor yet, but when we do, we will want to make it public. Okay, so let's go back and try it again. I'm going to run the migrate reset once again. And fingers crossed it works this time. Whoa, and all right, look at this. This is looking good. This is looking good. It looks like we have successfully compiled and migrated our contracts, and we can see we have our transaction hashes, we have our contract addresses all set up now. We've got contract addresses for RWD, for Tether, and if we look here, actually, if you look at the Tether contract address, and we can see as well that some gas was used, and we have a new balance. Okay, so let's go into our Truffle console and run a couple tests to see that things are looking good. So we're going to go into Truffle console by typing Truffle console and enter. And from the Truffle console, let's just see if we could grab some more names. So we know that we have Tether, right? Because we've done this before. Let me see. So if I do tether equals await, tether.deployed, and we call tether, we see that we get tether here. If I run tether.address, we see the address here. So okay, so this is good. It means that Tether is still up and working. This should also now work for our reward token as well, remember? Because we created the reward token as well. So if I do RWD, it's going to equal RWD. Oh, we have to wait for it. RWD.deployed. And we run RWD or RWD.address. We see another address. If I call the name, we see reward token. Awesome. And finally, you can go ahead and run a test to see that the decentral bank is running as well. But this is great. It looks like everything is up and deployed. The migrations are happening successfully. and we have already built out our smart contracts. This has been actually a lot of setup and legwork to get things running, but now we can start developing the digital bank functionality for our users, our customers, our investors. So very exciting. So things are about to get heated up. I hope you're as excited as I am. Let's keep up the good work, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.